slogan is bringing healthcare from the bedside to the streets. And what that means is, besides the traditional bedside nursing where we care for patients that are sick at the bedside, we administer meds, we help them with personal hygiene. That's one aspect of nursing, but what we're trying to look at is the environment that the people live in. The environment that we live in. We're trying to start in one area right now, which is South Los Angeles, focus on the area where we live and the issues that we see in the community we live in, because that's what nonprofits are really about. One thing nonprofits are supposed to do is to focus on a community, and probably one of the goals is to be able to relate to whatever their focus is in that particular community, whether it's like a particular diagnosis or, you know, a particular community issue in the environment, or some other type of common understanding. And so what we realize, urban outreach nurses, is that in South Los Angeles there is a problem with waste. You know, there is a problem where people in the community are not happy with their environment. And so instead of fixing it, there are some people in the community who just have thrown their hands in the air and decided, you know what, I do live here, but you know, I'm gonna take a vacation, or eventually I'm gonna move, or I'll just accept the way it is. And as a matter of fact, there's this particular problem and I'm just gonna like add to the problem. For example, maybe there's trash on the street that they live on. So instead of like picking it up, maybe they'll add more trash to it, or maybe they just kick it around, or maybe they just ignore it. But whatever it is still subconsciously is causing a sickness within the person. Some people are able to recognize it and some people are not. But if you think and sit back and say, hey, you know what? When I go on vacation, what is it that I love? Well, I love the fact that it's peaceful. I love the fact that it's clean. I love the fact of the great service that I'm receiving. So these are some of the things that we're trying to get the people in the community to make their community be that way, and force their community to be that way by being that one person to start it. So maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 100, but at some point it will spread. So, and even if it doesn't, it will make that one individual, those 2 individuals, those 10, those 20, those 100 individuals feel great within their community, because when they pass that particular street that they kept clean, or that particular area that they were involved in, whatever it is, they will feel great. And that will help them mentally, and it would also help them physically. So these are the type of, this is a simple example of what we're talking about. So as we go on, we're going to talk about who we are, what we do, the Adopt the Highway program that we're involved with, things that we see, the issues that we have learned, what happens when you just throw trash out into the streets, how trash ends up in our oceans, how it affects the environment, common items that we find, why we should care, and how you can help. And then we'll just summarize it from there. Urban outreach nurses, what our goal is to focus on educating South Los Angeles residents about the effects of trash and the lack of fitness on our mental and physical health. We are trying to educate the community about being involved with the cleanliness of homeless encampments, because a lot of the homeless encampments you'll find that there's waste, stool, urine, dead rodents, and a lot of spoiled food, and just a lot of just debris everywhere, and that causes a sickness of the environment. The birds that's landing over there, the animals that are stray, the people who are living there, and then the people who live in the communities around that particular environment. So we have went out to these type of sites and cleaned up the site, and after going to those sites multiple times, it helped to uplift the people who were actually living outside to where they wanted to see their environment cleaned more often. Sometimes after a while of just being homeless and being in that situation, it can create a sense of hopelessness. So with us coming out, and we had our pastor from the Church of the Living God on 106 in Figueroa. He came out, Pastor Green, and he gave those who wanted some spiritual uplifting, and together with that and the nurses that came out and the other volunteers that came out, it made the people feel cared for. And they started, when we would pass by, we would find that they were keeping their areas clean. So we know from being out there that works. And that same thing that we did with the people living on the street is the same thing that we can do for the people in the community who are just tired of seeing these things, and some people are just waiting for someone to help get things started. And I know there's people who want to be involved, but they just haven't met us yet. But one day, hopefully, we can get this out to the masses and we can get more people on board. The other thing is we want to keep the freeways clean, the public streets within South Los Angeles, because, it's just something that a lot of us who's lived in the inner city for years, it's like in your head that, that's just the way it is. I expect to see graffiti. I expect to see trash. I expect to see homelessness. And it's a mindset, and in the mind of the people, it's like the only way to escape that is to go somewhere else. Either I move, or I just take a vacation, or I go to another area to get away. But we want to change that mindset. We want to say that no, we want to demand that no, we want to see better here. Let's make this place just like the place that you want to go to. It can be done, and it's being done. I see changes already, so it can be done. And another thing is, as far as the sedentary lifestyle, that's another reason why we're encouraging the pedometer challenge. Is something fun to do. There's other things that people can do already. People go to gyms, people go for walks, or they do Zumba or any other fitness program that they're involved in. But the reason why we're doing the pedometer challenge is because it's like a competition. It's an incentive. It's something fun, and it's a booster. It's like, okay, maybe there's somebody out there that's not doing anything at all, and this might be the first thing that they do. Or maybe they are doing something, but they want something additional. Or maybe they need some money, and that's their incentive. Whatever it is still promoting health and wellness. We offer first, second, and third place. First place is $100, second place is $50, and third place is $25. And along with that, there's also a trophy and a certificate is given. So these are things that, hey, they could take that home, and maybe other family members like, hey, I want to do it too. It's something to feel great while you're also taking care of your health. And another thing with coming out, we're meeting new people, you're networking with other individuals and organizations, you're being part of the change of your community for the better. And we just want to create an overall appreciation of the community that you live in. We want to have events for families, events for children, and so much more. You know, when you drive down the 105 freeway, and if you ever volunteer with Urban Outreach Nurses, you can see the sign there and say, hey, you know what? I'm part of that organization. We go out and we keep these streets clean. When you go down the freeway, when you drive down any street in the South Los Angeles, and you know that, hey, these areas are looking great because we made the change. Wouldn't that be something great that you would want to be a part of? Do you toss trash out while driving or walking? Now, this is something that I personally see on a regular basis in South Los Angeles. Of course, this happens all over the world, actually, but the focus of this presentation is South Los Angeles, and from what I see, it happens more in any area that people has developed a mindset that that area doesn't care and we don't care. But that's something that we need to work on, and that's what the goal of Urban Outreach Nurses is, to work on the way we see our environment, because our environment affects our mental health. It takes a toll on your mental health consciously and subconsciously. It has impacts not only to the environment but to the ocean. For example, you just had some fast food restaurant and then you just toss it out. I see them toss out the whole bag, the cup and everything, just spill all over to the streets. Positive end, you throw food out, the animals will eat it. Positive part. But the negative part, you throw the plastic bag, the cups, the straws, and that's bad for the environment. That's bad for the animals. That's bad for the ocean. Those things eventually what? Go down into the gutters, which then goes to the sewers, which then goes to the ocean, which then can attach itself to the sea life. And it also adds to that great trash patch that we have in the Pacific Ocean. That's something you can look up. You can Google that. Trash, it's like tons and tons and tons, and it goes for miles. And it's just a horrible sight. And a lot of this stuff washes up on the shore. And sometimes there's even needles. So it's very dangerous. It's very contaminating. And the plastics that are formed out there from all the bottles and waste that people throw out, it eventually turn into microplastics after it breaks down, which eventually affects our organs and causes cancer and many other diseases that we're not even aware of. Well, I mean, this is pretty simple. How trash gets into the ocean? Well, it gets there, when, people are washing down the roads, or maybe it rains. But unbelievably, there are people who actually just dump it to the ocean. They like actually dump it into the ocean. I've actually seen people dump things down the drain, down the sewer, literally. There's a picture on one of these slides where we went out on Western Boulevard in Los Angeles off of 76, I recall, and we went and we took out a bag full of trash, one big large trash bag. We filled it up from trash that was thrown directly into the gutter. So a lot of people are not even thinking of the consequences of doing that. And then when it rains, it even affects the actual community where you live, because then it clogs up and then the water floods. So, sometimes you're mad, like, oh, the city is not taking care of it. No, you're a cause of it. Individually, you're a cause of it. This is like in nursing. You might have a patient who dies eventually of a particular kidney infection or uh, a wound, that turned into a stage 4 and they got sepsis and died. A lot of times, all the individuals who care for that patient at some point could have possibly been responsible for the patient's death, but it's not seen that way by anyone because they didn't physically go out and kill the person. But the poor care over time caused the patient's death. The poor care to your community caused the flooding, caused the animals to have, masks stuck to their necks, caused needles to be in the ocean, and then you're walking on the sand and get stuck. All of the things that we do as an individual eventually can catch up with us, whether it's us, whether it's our family members, our children, or someone we don't know. So you basically need to function with good deeds at all time, no matter what you do, whether it's dealing with the earth or dealing with other humans. What does trash do to the ocean environment? So much. I mean, we kind of talked about it already, but you can see in this picture alone what it does to the ocean. It's just overall bad for sea life. It's overall bad for sea life. And not only is it bad for sea life, it affects us too, because some of us eat seafood, and even if you're vegetarian or even if you're vegan and you eat sea vegetables, which is in the ocean, the contamination of the water is still going to contaminate the sea vegetables. If you eat like what's the one everybody loves? Sea moss. Okay, that's coming from the ocean. So if it's contaminated, it's contaminating everything. So it's like no one can ignore it. It doesn't matter if you're vegan or vegetarian. It affects everybody who eats anything because this is life. Water is life, and it's affecting our life because these microplastics, see, these plastic, which you'll see in a slide coming, is that this stuff is in the ocean for years. It's millions and millions of tons. And that's why there's so many people that's trying to make a change. Like a lot of organizations are turning plastic straws to paper. They've gotten rid of styrofoam. Everybody's trying to encourage biodegradable items. But a lot of companies are not using that because they can't afford it. But guess what? That's sad. Because a company that will use something because they can't afford something else mean they can't afford to care about your health. And why would you support that company? If that company is willing to give you items that's going to kill you over time, kill your children, kill your family member, kill the environment, then that's a company that you need not to support. If you don't support them, then they have no choice but to change. So they found turtles and birds with all this trash inside of their body. I have a picture on a future slide coming that it's all in their body. There's sea animals where, like that plastic you see right there that holds soda cans or beer cans together. There was a turtle with it embedded into their body. It grew around their body, so their body was deformed where the inner part was squeezed in because they grew from a baby with the plastic around them, so their body just grew with that plastic. It shaped itself around that plastic. Horrible. Horrible. Common waste found. Food containers from all these fast food places. I mean, when we go out and pick up trash, whatever fast food place is nearby, is guaranteed you'll find the majority of the items is from the businesses that's nearby, because people go and get their food, they sit in their car and eat. Instead of getting out of the car and taking it to the trash, they just toss it out the window, reverse, and drive off. It's a sad thing. But people got to sit back and say, if someone came to your house to visit and they ate food in their car and they just tossed it out the window and then drove off, would you be happy? Because if not, then why would you be okay to do it in front of business? Now, I've heard people say that I've known that, you know what, there's people who get paid to clean that up. But is that the right mindset? Just because there's people to clean things up, but not because people are throwing it on purpose. It's because things can happen. Trash cans can fall over. It could be a windy day. It could be thunder and lightning and rain and causes, trash to spill over, or maybe the trash is overfilled. It's not that just because people are going to clean it up that you just go around and dumping stuff on the road. I mean, in humanity, just being a human, you should feel a certain way about that. How is that okay? How do you feel that that's okay to just walk or drive and just dump things out into the road? It's the earth. Like, you live here. You want to enjoy the earth. You want to see cleanliness. How is it okay just because you're leaving that area that you're going to trash the area just because you won't be there? When you come back and you want to order food from there, do you want to see trash when you come back? Because most of the time, you're not even going to want to order food or go to a place that you see trash everywhere. You're like, ooh, I don't want to buy food here. So why would you think it's okay as an individual to dump items at that location? So this is a mindset that we need to get into everyone. We need to get into the children. We need to get into the adults. We need to get this into the mind of the companies. Everyone needs to feel responsible every day so that we can make a change. Not only for the environment, but it's for our health. We have to realize it actually affects our health physically, and it affects our health mentally. Another thing that we see all the time now with the pandemic, there's masks everywhere. I mean, these masks are getting attached to birds. It has that rubber. It's almost like a rubber band, on the ear. So it's very easy to attach yourself to things. When we go out to the freeway, they're all over the trees, all on the branches. There's masks everywhere attached. And I'm really trying to figure out why so many masks. And what I'm thinking is happening, people are on the freeway and they're just tossing their mask out the window. It's like, okay, I'm going to toss it out in the wind and blow. But yeah, where is it blowing to? These things still end up into the ocean also. And it still ends up getting on the birds. I don't really think people are really realizing the damage that it causes. The one little piece of paper that you throw out, how it accumulates and what damage it causes. I think once we can get this into the heads of the masses, it would change the mindset of so many people. Why should we care? Again, our mental health, your environment affects your mental health. It does. Like I said, that's why you go on vacation. That's why you want to go to a nice, beautiful beach. And you want to see this beautiful, clean sand. You want to go to this nice, fancy, clean hotel. It feels great to see this clean, fresh environment. So I know it can't possibly feel good to go to a trashed, graffiti, food everywhere, trash everywhere, masks everywhere, needles everywhere, packages of Swisher Sweets and cannabis containers all over the place. This is very important for us to get into our heads. These things these things, another thing people can probably do is have maybe some trash bags in their car. It doesn't have to be plastic. It could be paper bags in your car, or some kind of biodegradable bag, so that when you have trash, that you can put it in there, and when you get home or get somewhere that has a trash can, you could dump it in there instead of dumping it into the street, so that people who are in the business of recycling can get their hands on it. Or if you know any recycling centers, save them up, take it there, or give it to some people who want to recycle. So trash is the #1 killer of all ocean life. Millions of ocean life animals die every year. 90% of trash that is found are plastic. Some plastics take up to 450 years to biodegrade, and that is what I'm talking about. It not only does it take 450 years, but eventually it turns into microplastics, which is now, there's some new research that they have found that these microplastics are in the blood. And who knows what that will do to the human body. Okay? So you can make a difference by supporting urban outreach nurses or any other organization focusing on the environment. So you can volunteer, help us, help other organizations, pick up trash, put a bag in your car so that you don't have to throw out trash. Keep the area where you live clean, even if you don't own it, so that people see what you're doing and they're going to want to do it too. Teach one, each one teach one. Recycle or give it to others that recycle. Go to cleanups in the community or the beach. Eat less packaged food, because that's really the biggest problem, is fast food. These companies, the people go there. It's not like they're telling you to do it, but that's what people do. It's just a lazy type thing, and a lot of us have gotten accustomed to it. And if you could try to eat food that's not packaged at home also, that can decrease the amount of trash that's created. Use biodegradable cups, plates, utensils. Use reusable bags when you go to the store. Use paper bags. When you go to, if the market offers paper bags, use that instead. Reusable water bottles or biodegradable cups. There's, for laundry, there's a company called Kind. If you go to urbanoutreachnurses.org, we have a link on our website where you can order the detergent from them, and they're supposed to give us a percentage of that. We recommend that each time you make the purchase, you go back to our website and order it, because sometimes the link, once you order it, just becomes an individual link and we don't get credit for it. That would help, because that will help with the donations that we need. But yeah, that company is great. The box that it comes in is biodegradable. The sheets are not harmful to the environment. So everything about it is great, because those big soap containers that we normally use, those are very bad for the environment. They take forever to break down, and these things end up in landfills, and they're in the ocean, and then sea life is generated within them. So it's definitely something you want to try to invest in. And also toilet paper and paper towels, if you could use the bamboo type, that's something great. If you can use wood utensils, that is great. Everything you can do to gradually decrease the use of plastics or anything that's harmful to the environment. Just doing one or two things plays a big role of protecting your health, others' health, and the environment. It may not do it all immediately, but if you think about what the stuff that we use every day and over time, how much each of us accumulate is phenomenal of the difference that we can make. So, in summary, together, if we make any of these changes, we take any action, we get involved, we can make South Los Angeles beautiful. It's already beautiful, but we can make it look better. Nice and clean, clean streets, clean community, clean walls, you know, everybody's walking their dog and just doing great things and increasing our mental health and our physical health. Thank you.